For the last few years, Mihoyo has been essentially running things in the gacha game department, with titles such as Honkai Impact 3rd, Honkai Star Rail, and Genshin Impact, which is their biggest IP. However, as of late, the studio has found themselves in a bit of controversy due to the melanin levels of the characters of the recently released region of Natland. Being based on South America and Africa, many fans expected most, if not all, the characters to be representative of their native land. But when the curtain was dropped for the trailer, the people were met with nothing but drywall. That's right, most of the characters were as white as the Michelin Man.
Is that the Michelin Man on the bottom left?
To casual players like myself, it wasn't too big of a deal.
They seem to be out of today, so I'll just pick up the It's no big deal.
But to a large son of the Genshin community, it was earth-shattering. In turn, Mihoyo was called for their head. Many went to Twitter to express their dismay, and declare that they will be boycotting the game until melanin levels rise. Combine this with the recent release of Genshin's competitor Wuthering Waves,
I'll be your mommy.
Hot dog, I love you.
Mihoyo's biggest IP was losing a mass of their player base. With Honkai Impact being the forgotten oldest child, and Star Rail being turn-based, Mihoyo had to recoup their losses, and fast. But then, just as everything seemed lost, a new IP arrived to save Mihoyo and restore their control over the gacha game industry. Zenless Zone Zero.
Okay?
Whoa,
You
whoa,
guys
whoa,
ready?
whoa, 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 whoa.
Let's go!
Whoa, whoa.
I'm the diamond. I'm the ring. I'm the treasure. A little bit tricky.
Zenless Zone Zero is an anime-styled RPG that has been getting drip marketed over the past 2 years, showcasing a unique combat system and various interesting characters that you use to explore a sci-fi dystopian world. It was love at first sight. The fans loved the art design as well as all the zany and wacky characters that you could play as and collect. But now that the game has been out for about 2 months and the honeymoon phase is over, we gotta step back and take a real long and hard look at the actual meat of the game. Mihoyoverse has been pretty good at making entertaining enough stories with their games, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that the stories are necessarily good. They distract you from the mediocre story with lovable characters, great art design, and the occasional fire cutscene. But other than that, 90% of the time you're having to sit through hours of unskippable exposition. Oftentimes it's just two characters going back and forth saying dialogue that might not even be integral to the story itself.
It's entirely possible.
However, Zenless actually makes an attempt to mitigate the boring dialogue exchange by turning portions of their storytelling into comic book panels, which I think is 10 times better than just watching two people yap. The actual gameplay is unlike any other Hoyo game. It's not just pretty characters doing pretty things. The gameplay is actually fun, introducing a fast-paced combat system that includes parrying and dodging mechanics. You can select up to 3 characters from the roster to build your team. Each one offers something new and unique. The combat is definitely the most fun part of the game. I enjoy combining different characters to form my team, as well as the fast-paced combat and quick reaction time needed to parry or dodge enemy attacks. And the animation for when you defeat the waves of enemies is really cool and satisfying. The unfortunate thing about that aspect though, is the fact that that is only about 50% of the actual game. The other 50 is split between the unskippable exposition,
Ooh, I've mutated into a monster. Rawr, rawr.
Hanby, don't bite my hand. You're gonna hurt your teeth.
walking around talking to random NPCs, and what I consider the game's weakest part. The exploration in this game isn't what you would expect. Obviously it's not going to be Genshin levels of exploration, heck it ain't even going to be Star Rail levels of exploration. Throughout portions of the game you are required to enter this TV system, and oh my days, this is so freaking boring. You travel through these TVs and collect random things that I don't even think you can use as currency. Sometimes they have you do missions within this TV portion, like moving train tracks around or catching other bunny fools called bamboo. They will insert other factors into these sections such as evil bunny fools that you can run into in order to trigger a combat stage, but oftentimes I find myself avoiding these fools altogether, just so I don't have to extend my time within the TV room. And the worst part is that this is mandatory for the story mode, and it usually takes place before the combat portion of the game. This has been many players' main gripe about the game, but I have heard that you have to play this section less and less as you progress further through the story. Hopefully Hoyo listens to their community and outright gets this stuff out of the game because it's definitely their weakest attribute. However, that is not the worst thing that this game currently has going for it. There is a glaring issue that you can see from the game's teasers and trailers alone. The quote-unquote big problem that this game is suffering from. From these trailers, you can already tell what sets this game apart from the other Hoyoverse titles. That of course being the jiggle physics.
Hello, Mario.
I don't know how Mihoyo managed to do it, but they somehow were able to over-sexualize the characters in this game more than what they have done in previous titles. You thought Rosario's physics were bad? Just look at Nicole in his ad right here. Not just that, but they hyper-focus on specific elements of characters. Like, why does she got her dogs out? I am one to admit that playing the stories of Genshin and Star Rail is more of a burden because of the hours of exposition that you have to sit through. But since I love the characters and world building so much, I just bite the bullet and enjoy the game through those aspects. However, many new players don't share that same sentiment. Oftentimes they drop the game just 30 minutes in due to the constant yapping that the characters do. And who the hell wants to listen to Paimon's high-pitched ass voice?
What's going on, Dia? Whose side are you on here?
Shut it, Paimon.
Like I said, the way that Hoyo counteracts that is by making hella interesting and attractive looking characters. In certain cases, that alone will be enough to get people to play the game, and give those same people incentive to soldier through the hours of exposition just so that they could play as their favorite character.
Beg for mercy. Vengeance will be mine.
If not for characters like Eula and Kafka, I probably would never have even touched these games. As you can see, there is a trend. But that just goes to show you what gets people to go out and play your game. In Zenless's case though, they made sure to hit the nail on the head by making not only attractive characters, but utilizing the exaggerated physics to take them to the next level. Now you may be saying, but Baba-chan, the physics are just there to make the game look unique and show how wacky and goofy the characters are. Okay, then you can argue that it's just a circumstance of the game's art style. The boobs just come with the territory. But then, why do they hyper focus on certain ass angles portrayed in some of these trailers? And even in game, they got realistic booty walking jiggle physics. And how do you explain to someone why Grace having her dogs out front and center was integral to the plot of the game? Now me being a dude, I am actually all for the butt physics. Not so much the toe physics. But at some point you have to draw the line. Especially when you realize that 50% of the character roster are lolly builds. Why in a game that is currently banking off the overly lewdness of their characters, are there a plethora of characters that look like they are not of age? Oh, this character looks really cool. A shark girl that is also a maid? She's kinda confirmed high schooler. Okay, this faction has a bear, Miss Feet, and the head of the company is...
A child.
I mean, they even have that cliche character that looks like a little girl, but is actually hundreds of years old. I don't know how to explain it, but at least in Genshin and Star Rail, you can tell that the young adults are supposed to be, well, young adults. Like Hu-Tao looks like she's in that 18 to 20 range. Same could be said about characters like March 7th. But in Zenless, they are just making a bunch of not of age looking girls. I mean, how am I expected to believe that these gals are of legal age descent? Like I said, I am all for the adult women of the game.
Hot dog, I love you.
But still, Zenless continues down that Mihoyo path of prioritizing female characters opposed to male characters. And quite frankly, I was hoping to see some change.
Girls? I want to see men!
Across the other Mihoyo games, the female to male ratio is about 3 to 1. But in Zenless, it has got to be like 5 to 1, because why are there only 4 playable male characters at launch? It's quite out of the ordinary for me because my typical favorite characters from these games are dummies. But in this game, my favorite character is actually a dude, specifically Billy Kid. The dude gives off Deadpool vibes, wielding dual pistols and being the quippy jokester of the group. I love his character design, and I think it's funny how out of all the characters in the game, the one that is made out of metal has the jiggliest physics. It reminds me of how much I love just playing as a cool badass dude that just shoots monsters and makes jokes. Sometimes I don't want to play as a cute anime girl, I want to play as a damn man.
I am a man.
And this game could use more representation of the male department. Is that too much to ask for? Well, that's going to be a wrap for this video, gang. I just wanted to widen my scope of content and dabble on something that is a bit more controversial. Mainly the lolly issue, because it seems to be something that they are doing a bit too much of. But I personally don't mind the lewdness of the adult characters. In this economy, it is looked down upon to have curvy characters in a game. So it is a breath of fresh air to see that studios aren't afraid to roll with it in this day and age. Let me know what you guys thought of the video, comment if I should cover more content like this, like if you enjoyed, and subscribe today if you aren't already. Babbage out.